All right, so today we're diving deep into Harvard Business School. But this isn't your typical story about climbing the corporate ladder. Nope. This is about a journalist who decided to trade in his press pass for a pile of case studies. And what he discovered, well, it was about business, sure, but it was also about life and about himself.
So what is it actually like inside those hallowed halls? What goes on behind the curtain at HBS? We're going to peel it all back. The insane culture, the totally confusing language of finance, and the huge, life-changing lessons that you're never going to find on any syllabus. So, our story kicks off with this guy, a pretty successful foreign correspondent. I mean, he's seen it all, covered the big stories. But there's this feeling of dread just creeping in. The industry he's dedicated his life to, journalism, it feels like it's on its last legs, and it's making him cynical, kind of lost. He's desperate for a way out. And the thing that really pushed him over the edge, it was huge. After he was on the ground reporting after the Twin Towers fell, this one question just started haunting him, waking him up in the middle of the night. It was one of those questions that you just can't ignore, you know? And it forced him to find a new direction, a totally new purpose.
You can really see the two worlds he was caught between. On one side, you've got his career in journalism, which started to feel, well, pointless. Readership was tanking. He was becoming emotionally numb, and the worst part, he was staring down the barrel of a boring desk job. But then, on the other side, there's this world of business. It just seemed to sparkle with power, with big ideas and smart people. It felt like a glimpse into a whole other, better reality.
And you know where that idea really took root? It was during an interview with a Venezuelan billionaire. He's standing in this incredible, lavish office, surrounded by these super sharp, impeccably dressed people. And the guy tells him, Mr. Cisneros only hires Harvard MBAs to work in his private office. Just that one sentence. For our journalist, it was like a door swung open to a world he never knew existed, but suddenly he knew he had to be a part of it.
And unbelievably, he gets in. But the moment he steps on campus, the reality of the HBS machine just hits him like a ton of bricks. He realizes, okay, this isn't just school. This is a completely different universe. It's got its own language, its own pressures, its own bizarre rituals.
The first shock is just the pure, unfiltered intensity of it all. There's no gentle introduction. The schedule is brutal, the prep for every single class is relentless, and the grading, it's a forced curve. That means you are directly competing against every single person in your class. But the real killer, 50%, half of your entire grade is based on how much you talk in class. The pressure is just on, full blast from day one.
And they just throw you right into the fire with these crazy exercises. Like this crimson greetings thing. I mean, it sounds kind of fun, right? Make some greeting cards? No. It's a super high-pressure simulation where you have to design, produce, and sell these cards, all against a ticking clock. It has nothing to do with arts and crafts and everything to do with building teamwork through basically shared panic.
The social scene was just as nuts. So the author complains about this classmate who's like demanding total silent attention from everyone, and another student just immediately hits her with this piece of HBS slang. It just shows you how intense it was, this culture of instant judgment and nonstop social maneuvering.
And of course, like any exclusive club, HBS has its own secret language. You've got sharking. That's when you just tear down someone else's comment in class for no good reason. The whole social world revolves around the 3 M's, these super powerful cliques of students who are Mormon, ex-military, or came from McKinsey. And then there were sky decks. They were supposed to be these fun weekly student roasts, but man, they could get nasty, like really brutal public takedowns.
So if the social world was a minefield, the academic world might as well have been on another planet. I mean, here's a guy who built his career on words, and now he's dropped into a world of numbers and finance. It's a completely foreign language, and that feeling of being totally, utterly lost was just overwhelming.
You have concepts like discounted cash flow just flying at you from every direction. You know, this idea that $1 in your hand right now is worth more than $1 you'll get next year. And that's just one tiny piece of this giant, complex financial puzzle that he just could not figure out how to put together.
This quote just perfectly captures how frustrated he was. Can you imagine? You're sitting in arguably the most prestigious business school on the planet. Everyone around you seems to be getting it, and you feel like you're drowning. He could see the ideas, these fish swimming by, but every time he tried to grab one, his hand came up empty.
But then the breakthrough came, and it wasn't from some complicated formula or a dense textbook. It was a simple analogy.
He finally realized that managing a massive company's inventory is basically like managing the pantry in your kitchen. You don't want to buy so much food that it goes bad, but you don't want to buy so little that you run out. And just like that, this huge, abstract business concept finally clicked. That little breakthrough was actually a sign of something much, much bigger. He started to realize that the real point of Harvard Business School wasn't about learning to be a wizard with spreadsheets. It was about learning to think like a CEO, to see the whole picture, the entire battlefield. It was all about strategy.
So the lessons start simple. Take your local laundromat. Why are there so many of them? Well, because pretty much anyone can open one. The barriers to entry are super low. You don't need a PhD. It's easy to get a loan. And what's the result of that? The competition is absolutely brutal. It's a basic but really powerful lesson in how the structure of an industry determines how much money you can make.
But then you level up to a case that's way more complex. Walmart. Now, their big advantage isn't just that they have low prices. It's everything working in perfect harmony. It's the cheap culture, the mind-blowing logistics, the way they squeeze their suppliers, their incredible technology. The real insight here is that Walmart isn't just a store, it's a system. You can't just copy one part of it and expect to compete with them. It's impossible.
And this quote just nails it. This is the core lesson of strategy. A real, lasting competitive advantage isn't about being great at one thing, like marketing or operations. It's about building a whole integrated system where every single piece makes every other piece stronger. You end up creating something that's way, way more powerful than just the sum of its parts.
So after 2 years of this whirlwind of case studies, frameworks, and cutthroat competition, the journey is finally coming to an end. But the biggest lesson he learned had nothing to do with cash flow statements or market strategy. It was about life. And the final lesson, the ultimate case study, really came down to two completely different ways of looking at the world. On one side, you have this CEO who basically says, look, you can't be a great CEO and be a great family man. Something's got to give. But then you have the writer Alice Trullan, who had a much simpler view. Either your children were the center of your life or they were not. For her, she said everything else was commentary.
And that brings us to the real question at the end of all this, doesn't it? After all the ambition and the networking and the analytical frameworks you learned at a place like Harvard, what actually matters? What defines a successful life? The journey started with a journalist who felt lost, and it ends with a fundamental choice that really all of us have to make. What or who are we going to put at the absolute center of our lives?